Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to another episode here at USA Global TV and Radio. Today's show is The Long Game, and I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. I am the president and founder of this platform, and I thank you so much for being here. If you haven't done so yet, we'd really appreciate it as our team if you would subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio, and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Well, let's get into the topic today. Most people believe that when you are working towards something, that the reward is going to come at a later time. It's going to come after you do the work, after your structure and discipline is completed, and after the results show up. But this belief is a mistake. Because if you think that the reward is somewhere out there in the future, you will spend most of your life feeling like you're behind. You haven't done enough. You're sacrificing. You're working for all of this and nothing is coming fast enough. And you know what happens? Eventually you quit. We give up. We just say, you know what? I did everything I could. I put my heart and soul into it and it just doesn't work. So you quit before the reward actually comes. So today we're going to shift that mindset completely. We're going to knock it out and we're going to kick it out and say goodbye. So where does this come from? We have been conditioned to think this way. Work hard, enjoy later. Do everything you need for the first X number of years of your life, and then it's retirement and the big payoff comes. And of course, the one thing that we forget in this entire scenario is we forget to enjoy the ride. We forget to enjoy the journey. We forget to look at the little wins along the way. But if we push through and we keep pushing and pushing, someday it's going to pay off. So what happens? We delay our gratification. We don't feel satisfied. We don't feel happy. We don't take the wins as they come. But even though there is some truth in that, it's not the complete picture. Because what we've done is we've taken the idea of delayed gratification and we've turned it into delayed recognition. And I'd like to share a personal story with you. I had decided back in January that I was going to make some major changes in my life. And I decided that even though I had already given up caffeine, 30 years ago, I don't think I've had a soda in 40 years. I typically don't eat fried foods. I decided I was going to give up alcohol. I really loved Chardonnay. That was kind of the way that I would unwind. And I was going to give up sugar. And in my mind, I felt like when I gave this up, that at some point in the future, which today is day 86, this incredible, miraculous change was going to come about, that I was going to look in the mirror and say, wow, I don't even look like the same person. So along this journey, I kept thinking to myself every day, like getting weighed, measuring myself. Okay, when is the big change coming? When is the big change coming? And I can tell you as of day 86, I haven't seen any big changes. My hair is longer. But what I can tell you is there have been small wins all along the way. So instead of me looking into the future, at first it was going to be 30 days, then it was 60 days, now it's 90 days, 120. I've just decided that I'm going to look at the wins and the reward in each of the steps. So the first thing is my blood pressure, which was 171 over 110 on medication for a very long time. Actually, last year at this time, that's what it was when I went to the doctor's office. It's about 99 over 66, and my pulse is about 56 to 60. So that's a major change. That's a major win. That's a reward. My ulcerative colitis has been in remission. I'm knocking on wood, knocking on my head, knocking on everything for a year now. That's a reward. That's a major win. I went and got my blood test done. My cholesterol was unbelievably good. Amazing. That's a win. So you can look at all these things. They are the reward. But if my mindset was at the point where I'm still waiting to look in the mirror and go, oh my gosh, I don't even look like myself. I look like a totally different person, then it's not going to be coming. And all of the efforts that I've made so far will be for naught, because I won't have acknowledged the steps along the way. And that's what we do. We want some major thing at the end to come, and especially in business. Many of us as business owners, we will take our heart and soul and put it into our work. And people around us do not know what it is we're doing. They keep saying to themselves, well, you're not around for the weekends, you're not around in the evenings. And in some cases, I know myself, I work on holidays. I work 7 days a week because we are global. So we are across the world. So in some cases, holidays that we celebrate in the States, they don't celebrate outside the United States. But other people don't understand that. And if you have a partner, okay, I don't have a partner, I'm celibate, I'm just alone. But if you have a partner, you may be getting feedback on a regular basis. Well, you sacrificed the family and you didn't go to these events for the kids, et cetera, et cetera. Where's the big payoff? So instead of delaying gratification and delaying recognition, we can take it every single day. But what we've done is we've trained ourselves to ignore what's happening right now because we're so focused on the future. We're so focused on what could happen, what may happen, what if it doesn't happen. So let's look at some of the things that we've been trained to look at for reward in terms of outcomes. I just talked to you about my personal situation, the number on the scale. So I've lost about 6.5 pounds now in 86 days, and I'm not gaining weight anymore. I just decided, you know what? I'm not doing it because I wanted to lose maybe 10 pounds. And it seems like the last 3.5 pounds are forever. So instead of getting myself upset, I am not going to continue checking on my weight. I can tell, I can see my waistline. I can tell indents in my stomach. So there are other measurables that you can see, whether they are related to something with a tape measure or a scale, or it's visual. The next thing is the money in your account. Have you ever had someone say to you, well, you thought this was a great idea. How much money do you have? How much money are you making? What kind of car do you drive? How many square feet are in your home? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And meanwhile, you have all kinds of other signs and indications of happiness and joy, gratification, reward, but other people don't see it because they're measuring it on your money. Another one is title. Oh, you've worked so hard. I mean, this reminds me of, I think it was Top Gun. Any of you Tom Cruise fans out there? And in the Maverick movie, I think it was, Tom Cruise is given a hard time, his character, because of the fact that he hasn't risen up in terms of the ranks in the military. And so even though he's doing what it is he loves to do, people are insulting him in this film, his character, because of the fact that he doesn't have the title that they think he should have. So in other words, you put in a certain amount of time and you put in a certain amount of effort, and you should have a title. You should have a certain amount of money in your bank. You should have a certain amount of salary. And then the last thing is the recognition. So maybe you work in an organization, maybe you're on a team, and you don't feel like you get the recognition that you deserve. And I'm going to share another example here. So I have been doing a certain workout for a very long time. I'm not going to say what it is in this contents because I don't want to say anything that could be interpreted one way or another. And when you get to 1,000 classes, The recognition that you would normally get doesn't exist until you get to 2,000 classes. So imagine if you're taking a class, a fitness class every single day, that's 365 classes in a year. That's the most you can take because you're not allowed to double up, and physically you might not be able to, and it's probably not good for you. So think about how long it will take to get from 1,000 classes to 2,000 classes. Most people never even get to 1,000. Most people stop at some point because the work is too hard. So for me, I was hitting 1,100 classes and I really wanted the recognition. And the recognition is nothing that involves money. It's just a matter of putting something on a certain board and having your name there and that you've achieved so many classes. And so I actually wrote to the corporate headquarters and said, by the way, I've sold loyalty programs for over 20 years. I think this is an opportunity for you to actually get some more loyalty by recognizing people for every 100 classes after 1,000. I mean, between 1,000 and 2,000, that's a long way to go. That's at least 3 years. So why not recognize people? And when they didn't, they wrote back to me and said that they would review it. And I wrote 3 times and no one got back to me. So I decided to cancel my membership. And I thought a lot about it and things happened to fall into place. And I ended up going back. And what I realized was that even though I wasn't getting the recognition that I wanted from this organization that I pay every month, I can still have the recognition myself. But just like I canceled my membership, sometimes people will say, I don't want to be a part of this because I'm not being recognized. And so in terms of external validation, they really encompass a lot of the things that I shared with you. The number on the scale, the money in your bank account, the title, the recognition. If these things aren't showing up as we think they should be, or as our circle of people or external validation think it should be, then we assume nothing is happening. But this is the key. This is where everything starts to break down. When you believe the reward is in the future, the present, what you're doing today, it feels like a burden. We start having animosity about it. Oh, I'm sick and tired of doing this because I didn't get this. It feels like a sacrifice. It feels like we're putting in the effort and there's no return. So what happens? People quit. Not because they're incapable. No, not because it's too hard. They quit because they don't feel rewarded, because we set these expectations, whether they're our own or they're our immediate circle, or whether it's external validation in totality. So just think about it. Someone starts working out, right? Let's say it's January and you are committed to working out and you don't see a visible change quickly enough, and you stop working out. And it happens all the time in the fitness industry. I have been a certified fitness professional and still am right now for as long as I can remember. And organizations that are circled around fitness, if you're a gym, for example, you're going to make a significant amount of money in the beginning of the year because people are committed to working out, but they don't see the change quickly enough, so they stop. Someone starts to build a business and they don't see the revenue fast enough, so they stop. Someone tries to improve a relationship and they don't see the immediate change, so they stop. It's a pattern. It's a pattern of behavior and it's always the same. But we are measuring the wrong thing. We have to redefine what the reward isn't and what it is. The reward is not the outcome. If you think about football, for example, if you are in the US and you're a football fan, the most important thing most people think is the Super Bowl. And whoever it is that's going to win the Super Bowl, the outcome is you won the Super Bowl. And of course, winning the Super Bowl is very significant for a number of reasons, the number of opportunities that open up. But the reward is happening while you are doing the work. That reward of winning the Super Bowl is happening all throughout the season. Every time you show up in whatever capacity it is, there is a return, whether you realize it or not. You're building discipline, you're building consistency, and you're strengthening your identity. You're becoming someone different. That is the reward. So when I shared with you about my personal situation of my new commitment to lifelong health, it's not something that is, I'm just doing it for the short term. Every day I am seeing a reward. And what am I doing? So I'm taking notes. I'm checking my blood pressure every day. Why? Because it's pretty important to know what your blood pressure is. And I see now, I see 99 over 60, 100 over 70, a pulse 656. That's a win. That's huge. So I'm tracking it every single day. I'm doing intermittent fasting every single day. I'm tracking that every single day. Why? Because if ever I get down and I think, oh, I wish I would lose those 3.5 additional pounds, I look at what it is that's happening during the process. And let's say I do lose the 3.5 pounds. How is my life going to change? What's going to be different? Pretty much nothing. Really, nothing is going to be different. It's not enough to shift from one size of clothes to another. And so I've always been a size 2 or a size 4, and I'm wearing my size 2s and size 4s. When I was 6.5 pounds heavier, I was really pushing the 4, moving into a 6. So 3.5 pounds is not going to move me anywhere, but it's moving my health. My health is moving forward in a positive way because I'm making changes. And although the sacrifice might seem quite great, giving up alcohol, giving up sugar, no caffeine for 30 years, it's not really that hard to do because I'm being rewarded every single day. One of the rewards that I think we forget to think about is that every day we wake up and we're here is a gift. And I know some of you are just disheartened with whatever your situation is. It's probably temporary. At some point, you will have a mental shift and you will say, you know what, this is what my situation is. I'm going to make the best of it. Or you're going to say, I'm not going to accept this as my situation. I'm going to do whatever it is I can change to do it. There are people who did not wake up today. There are people who will not wake up tomorrow. So it is a gift. It is a reward that we wake up and have opportunities to make choices. So I want you to give yourself a break. I want you to reward yourself for who you are becoming while you're doing the work. You do not get confidence after the result happens. You build confidence through repetition. When I first started in media, I had no experience whatsoever going back to 2019. I started with a radio show. I didn't know anything about being on the radio. I was a nervous wreck. Every week I did a show Fridays on Business Talk Radio, which is now out of business. And it was called The Drive at 5, Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. And what ended up happening was I took something that felt strange and comfortable. And I thought, wow, I really love to do this. I can't wait until Friday. I can't wait till the next show. And then I saw people were posting videos on Facebook and YouTube. And I thought, I don't know anything about this. So I reached out to someone who I saw was doing it. And then I hired a producer. And then I learned to do what the producer was doing. I learned to do what the broadcast engineer was doing out of New York. And I started doing it myself. And I started saying to myself, I am doing things I have absolutely never, ever done before. I have no experience in any of these things. And today I am running a global network with no experience prior to the work that I started to do. So although I don't give myself grace every single day, I do sit back at the end of the week and think, this is amazing. It's amazing what is going on, what I've been able to accomplish. And I want you to think about that. This is not about ego. It's about getting clarity about what it is you're doing and developing that clarity through your process. And the reward isn't when it's over. It's when you are becoming who you are while you're doing it. And think about it, because if the reward is over after you achieve it, then what's next? Then you just want to go on to the next thing. And believe me, I've been like that in the past. When I first started in working in corporate America, I was all about gold stars. And I think that that came as a result of my upbringing. It was basically do this, get this. So you vacuum the rugs and they look a certain way and mom approves it and you get $1. Or you take out the trash or you make your bed and you get $1. Or you go to school and you participate and you get a gold star. I remember in first grade, my teacher had this big poster board and everyone's name was on it and every day of the month, and you would get one of those gold stars that you would peel off those sheets and she would put it next to your name. So I just got used to do the right thing and you get the gold star. And then at some point, things didn't go right in my life and there were no gold stars. And that was kind of a wake up call. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting divorced. There's no gold stars in that. Oh my gosh, I have ulcerative colitis and I'm in extreme pain. Oh my gosh, my mother has dementia. I could go on and on. There's no gold stars in the result. But along the journey for all of those things, there were gold stars. There were opportunities, moments, there were experiences, there are memories that are absolutely gold stars. And so think about just getting whatever the reward is at the end and how that can feel incomplete, how we can feel that's not enough. And we go from a mindset of it's not enough, I have to have more, I have to have more, to I appreciate what it is I do have. I appreciate the time that I do have. And I'll give an example with this TV show. All of our TV shows are live for the most part. We do have some that are pre-recorded, but for the most part, they're live and they're 40 minutes. And the 40 minutes flies by, even though there's no script. And we have shows where we have 2 hosts, we have panels, we have guests. The 40 minutes goes by so quickly. And people say, you know what? I wish we could go to 50 minutes. I wish we could go to an hour. Yeah, we could stay here all day. We could do 24 hours a day of the same show, just talking and talking and talking. But there has to be an end. Because if we think the reward is going for as long as you possibly can go, we're missing the point. The point is that while we have the 40 minutes, we bring as much value and get as much joy as we possibly can. We have gone from looking at things in a way where I appreciate what I have to I need more. And an example I can give is in the fast food industry. I do not eat fast food, but there was a time in my life when I did. But think about the evolution of fast food when you would pay a certain amount of money and you would get a certain portion. And then the portions became enormous. The sandwiches, they're not even double, they're triple. And now they have more stuff on top of them. And then it went into the restaurant industry where you're getting a plate of food that's like this big and you've got 3 days worth of food there, as opposed to some places in Europe where the portions are much smaller. And so you get a portion that you actually can finish in that meal, as opposed to taking it home and maybe you're going to eat it, maybe you're not. And I typically will go out to a business lunch every other week. And I ask the place where I go, I'm not going to say the name of the restaurant because I'm not a paid spokesperson, but I will say to them, please give me half of what you would normally give because I'm not going to eat all of it and I'm leaving here to go to another meeting. So I can't put it in my car and it's just going to get wasted. And so the chef came out and said, what's going on? And I said, well, I don't want to waste this food. You are going to give me a portion that has more than what I can eat. And so I'm happy to pay the same amount of money, but I don't want all of that food because I'm not going to eat it. The reward to me is not finishing off the plate. It's controlling my behavior. And of course, what the chef said was that they can't do that because then feedback could come that they're not giving full-size portions. So it's interesting how things go from getting enough of what it is we need to we've got to have more. Do you remember those big drinks that you would get at convenience stores? I can't think of the name of it. Oh, actually, I remember the name of it now, beginning with an S. And so instead of getting a fountain soda that was this big, now you're getting something that could last for, probably half the day because enough isn't enough. We've got to have more. And we think at the end, getting the big thing is the reward for the amount of money. Oh, I got a great deal. Have you ever heard of people who want to go shopping and they end up buying more than what they need because they're coupons, because there's a discount, because there's 2 for 1, there's 3 for 1. And then they have all of this stuff and they feel like that's the reward, but they're still not happy because now they have all this stuff that takes up space and they have no place to put it. So that kind of translates through everything that we do in our life. But that's not what the reward is. The reward can look in many ways. Personally, a reward can be the energy you feel, the strength you are building, the fact that you showed up even when you didn't feel like it. For me, I work out, let's see, today it's already 8 days in a row. And I will go work out my double workout today because I get to. I get the opportunity that many people don't. There are people who can't walk. There are people who can't exercise. There are people who have injuries. There are people who can't afford to go to a gym. So I get to go and work out, and it is a gift. And I do not forget that. And of course, you don't have to go to a gym, obviously, to work out. There's many things you can do without going to a gym. But to me, I just feel so grateful that I get to go. And so I'm not going to say to myself, oh, I don't feel like going today, or I'm tired. There are days when I won't go because I have a lot of work and schoolwork. And I think to myself, well, I have worked out for X number of days in a row. I will take one off because I think my body needs it. That's a different story. In business, we think the reward is money. How much money are you making? How much money do you have coming in? It's not the money. The reward is the skill you are developing. It's the decisions you are learning to make. And it's the resilience you are building. Why isn't it the money? Money is a currency. It is energy. It comes and it goes. And so if we are putting our entire self-worth on how much money we have, it can be taken away at any point in time. How do we know this? Let's look at professional athletes. There was a documentary on football players, NFL football players, who went from nothing. They had literally nothing to making fortunes, millions and millions of dollars. And they didn't know what to do with it because they didn't have any guidance. They didn't have anyone who was assisting them. And in many cases in this documentary that I watched, it ended up that people they trusted took their money. They mismanaged it, misappropriated it. It also came down to people they've known throughout their life, family members and friends, would come to them and say, well, now you have this money, buy me a house, buy me a car, take care of me. So the money came and then the money went. And so then they've got to go back on the field. They've got to go and play another season of getting tackled, running, all the sacrifices that they make. And by the end of the documentary, when they were working with these football players, some of them were in their 30s and couldn't work anymore. They literally could not work anymore and could not earn an income. And their money had been mismanaged and they didn't have anything. So is the reward really the money? Let's look at some of the celebrities in Hollywood and how many of them we've heard stories about. I'm not going to mention names, but people have written biographies about how they didn't even know how much money they had and the money was being mismanaged. And they found out they were broke and they had to go back to work and be participating in TV shows and movies that they didn't even want to be in because they desperately needed to make money. So the money is not the reward. If you put all of your confidence into how much money you have, I promise you, you will be very disappointed and you will be sad. I know people that God is their money. Money is their God. That's the way they look at it. So another example is in your personal life. People think the reward is approval. I need his approval. I need her approval. I need your approval. And it's interesting because running this network and leading this team, there have been times over the years when people will say, well, I hope you approve. Well, I'd really like your approval. Well, it's not about me approving anything. It's about you feeling good about your work. Do you feel that you're putting out top quality content? Are you proud of the legacy that you're leaving? And we typically know when we're not. We know when we're not meeting the mark. But yet many of us will look for external validation. What does he think? What does she think? Even the terms of how many people might be watching this show live, how many people might be watching the show after the fact. What really matters is that someone watching this show takes something away from it and actually goes and implements it. That's what really matters. But yet we get all tied up in what everyone else thinks. So if the reward is not approval, then what is it? It's awareness, it's boundaries, and it's alignment. And let's go through each one of these. The awareness is what it is that you're doing, what it is that you're working toward. I shared with you about my longevity journey. Now, the fact that I don't drink, the people I used to drink with don't really want to hang out with me. Instead of getting together during the night or maybe on a weekend, it's kind of like, oh, I guess we'll have to have lunch. I guess I'll see you for lunch. So I'm aware of it and I don't judge anyone, but that person I was when I was having wine is gone. That person is not here anymore because I've made a choice. And that doesn't mean everyone likes it. So does that mean I'm not going to move forward with my journey because maybe it's not popular? No, of course not. It's the same thing in business. When I first started out and people said to me, oh, you retired from corporate and now you're going to do what? You're going to go on television? Who do you think you are? And I've shared this story before, but I think it warrants being shared again. I remember I was going for a walk with my mother and we happened to see someone we knew. And she stopped me and she said, oh, Jackie, I see you on Facebook. What do you think? You're going to be a celebrity? And I looked at her and I said, what are you talking about? She goes, oh, I see you in your TV shows. Who do you think you are? You think you're better than me and you're better than everyone else? And I just looked at her and I said, what you're sharing right now is about yourself. It has nothing to do with me. My role and my job is to provide education. That's why I'm here, to give back. And what I realized from that was everyone's not going to like you. Everyone's not going to like me. Everyone's not going to leave positive comments and say, hey, way to go. I'm proud of you. Because people go through their own struggle. And when people don't like who they are and they don't like what's going on and they see you and you're liking what you're doing, it brings up things for them. Why does she seem so happy? Why does he seem so happy? Because they're not happy. You can't make anyone else happy. You can't deliver what is required. That is a personal journey. It's a journey that we all go on. So when you are out there looking for external validation, you're looking for those high fives. You're looking for people to say, you know what? I really admire you. Stop. It may come. You may get the feedback, but you know if you're making a difference. You know, at the end of whatever it is you're doing at the end of the day, do I feel good about what it is I'm doing? Have that awareness. The next thing is boundaries. It is difficult to set boundaries. I actually teach courses on setting boundaries, and I've written a book on setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is difficult. First of all, many times people don't have the awareness that they don't have any boundaries. What does that look like? Have you ever had a conversation with someone where they just keep talking? It's not a TV show, right? This is a TV show. There's no one else here except for me. So if I stop talking, you would probably just go and watch something else. Or like there's dead air over there on USA Global TV and radio. So I have to talk. But when you're in a conversation and one person keeps talking and they never take a pause to see how you're doing or find out what's going on with you, they don't have the awareness. When people contact you, maybe it's via email or WhatsApp or Messenger or text, and all they're doing is putting you down, they don't have any boundaries. They don't have professionalism, but it's about them and you don't have to take it on. You don't have to go back and bring yourself to the level where they are. You can just have that awareness I talked about. You're aware of the fact that this person is operating on a different level than you are. And there's no judgment that one's better than another. And it's not our job to fix people. It's not our job to point things out to people. I know one of the mistakes that I made many times in my life is that I would correct people on their grammar. I would just say, that's incorrect. You ended the sentence with a preposition. And as I got older, I thought, why am I doing this? Who made me the grammar police that I'm supposed to go around and tell people that you're not speaking proper English? And the funny thing is, if you look at where we are in the world today with text messaging and everything having to be so short, people are not speaking in complete sentences anyway. I shared this, that I was watching a TV show. It was a reality TV show. And I heard many times this word sus. Well, that's sus. This is sus. I didn't even know what that meant. I think it means it's suspect or it's suspicious, but it's not even a word. Maybe now in the new jargon of words that we have for the dictionary, maybe it is a word, but it's not my job to go and correct people. I'm not going to speak that way because to me, I don't think it conveys something that people can quickly identify with. And I really pride myself on being a lifelong learner, but my job is not to correct someone. So that's also setting a boundary. And then the last thing is alignment. Alignment, meaning that you feel in your bones, in your soul, if something is aligned. And many times we know it's not. We meet somebody and we think to ourselves, you know what? I've been alone for a long time, or I'm coming from a bad relationship, or my partner passed away and I want to be in a relationship with someone. This is not me, by the way. I do not feel that way. But some people do. And so they work so hard to make it fit, even though all the warning signs are there that it is not going to work out. It's the same thing when you own a business. It's the same thing when you're in corporate. We have to be able to identify, is this person capable, willing, interested in doing the work? Will they succeed? Because if they're not going to succeed and we're setting them up for failure, they're not going to be happy about being on our team. They're not going to be happy about working here. But yet, maybe we have quotas to fill. Maybe we need to hire so many women by a certain point in time. And so we only have 3 women applicants. We go, okay, I'll take all 3 of them, knowing that it's not a good fit. We have to have alignment. So it's the awareness, it's the boundaries, and it's the alignment. And that in and of itself is a reward. But if you miss these, you will always feel like nothing is working because you don't have awareness, boundaries, and alignment as part of who you are and what it is you do. Most people don't see what I'm talking about. You may be watching this right now and going, I don't know what she's talking about, because most people are focused on the outcome. They're not focused on behaviors. They are looking for proof in the results instead of recognizing progress in action. And I'll give another example. I'm pretty good at judging as to who's going to be a good TV show host and who potentially will not be. And that's not because someone has years of broadcasting experience. It could be someone who has no experience whatsoever, but they're coachable. They have the desire to learn. They're passionate about it, and they can see something bigger than them. They can see the idea of presenting information that they've accumulated, experiences that they've shared throughout their life to help other people. When someone comes to me and says, I'm interested in having a show, how much am I going to make? My first comment is, I don't think it's going to be enough. I don't know what it's going to be, but whatever it is, it won't be enough for you, because that's not what we're about. We are about providing world-class education. We're a family, we're a community. And yes, it costs money. All of this costs money. Right now, this time I'm spending with you, I could be doing something else with it. This platform we're on, it costs money. The people I hire for search engine optimization, social media marketing, editing, on and on and on, it all costs money. But if you don't spend the money, then you won't have anything. But if all you care about is the money, we're going to go back to what I shared in the beginning. You are going to always be disappointed because it will never be enough. I know people like this. I have had people that I've known in my life that their number one is money. It's not about helping other people. It's not about their own stability. It's about, I've got to make more money. Why? Because they're never satisfied, because there's never enough money. They get the money, they spend the money, they need more money. It goes back and forth, back and forth. And at the end of the day, they're exhausted. They're exhausted. There are countless stories of people who are extremely wealthy, who have multiple homes, private jets, etc., and they're lonely. They don't know that anybody actually wants them for them. They want them for their money. We've seen stories about people who have won the lottery, and then people come out of the woodwork that they're interested in them. Oh, I want to date you. I just saw one recently that this woman, complete unknown woman, found out this guy won the lottery, and now she's clinging to him like a vine because she wants the money, most likely. Okay, I don't know specifically, I can't say, but the lack of not having money makes it attractive to cling to people who do have money instead of thinking to yourself, how can I make my own money? Because by getting money from someone else, you put yourself at a disadvantage. Think about the fact that if you are in a relationship with a partner and the partner has a lot of money and you want to get married, what's one of the first things we hear about? Prenuptial agreement. So that if it doesn't work out, the person walks away with their money. Or think of relationships where there is no prenuptial agreement. And then you have to decide, how are you going to divvy up all of the money? And usually, not always, but usually one partner feels like they're being cheated. They're not getting as much as they should. Because once that money is divided, that's it. There's no more opportunity. But if you're making your own money, then you don't have that same kind of pressure. I'm not saying you still don't want what you think you deserve, whether that's realistic or not. But the money is not the friend. The money is not the reward. It is the journey that it takes to earn the money. We are constantly looking for proof in the results instead of recognizing the progress in what it is we're doing. We don't stop to acknowledge and ask yourself, are you doing this? Do you acknowledge these things? What did I do today? What did I do over the weekend? What did I do an hour ago? What did I follow through on? What did I say I wanted to do it and I actually did it? What did I decide to choose differently? Okay, I shared with you, I was drinking Chardonnay for the last 30 or 40 years. I don't drink anymore. I decided to choose differently. It makes no sense. A person like me who's very healthy, health conscious, why am I drinking alcohol? Why am I eating sugar? I decided to choose differently. We get that choice to choose differently. We feel like we're standing still and nothing's actually happening, but that's not true. We're just not paying attention to all of the shifts that are taking place. We're not recognizing the reward in the real time because we always feel like we're behind. If you don't say to yourself, I did this today, I did this yesterday, I'm doing this right now. If we don't acknowledge it, we will always feel like we are behind. I've got so much to do. I'm so busy. I'm so overwhelmed. Well, start doing something. I like to write things down on a notebook pad. The computer is great, but I like to write things down. I put down, these are all the things that I need to get done, that I want to get done. And then I just start scratching them out. Sometimes, and you'll love this, I will actually write things down after I did them. They're not even on the list. No one's going to see the list but me. But I go back and write them down. And then I look and I say, I did 30 things today. I accomplished 30 things today. Instead of saying to myself, well, let's see at the end of the year what my tax return looks like. That doesn't even make any sense. You're missing the ride. You're missing the journey. And if it's the number at the end of the year, wherever it is you live in the world, whatever entity you have to pay taxes to, if you do, that number is part of a story. You see behind me this path. The path winds and takes turns because there's no straight path. And we have to embrace all of the twists and all of the turns. You know, I'm a big Survivor fan. I love watching Survivor. I'm not a paid spokesperson. There's so many twists and turns that can't be anticipated that makes the show great. But yet in life, when we have twists and turns, we don't say, oh, guess what? I'm out here playing Survivor in the real world. We just say, oh, this happened and that happened. I'm happy about this and that. And saying, you know what? I'm playing Survivor in real time. And this is what I'm learning. And these are the opportunities that I have. And I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm sure enjoying the ride. Every single day I get to wake up and I say to myself, you know what? I can breathe. I can see. I can hear. I can think, I can walk, I can talk, I can smell. I get to make choices. I get to be here and make these choices. So that is today's episode of The Long Game. The mistake is thinking that the reward is in the future. Thank you for listening. If you haven't done so, please, right now while I'm speaking to, wherever you're watching across the platforms, please go over to YouTube. Why? YouTube keeps our content. YouTube keeps the content up, and we know where to find it because it's all in playlists. Facebook takes the content down after 30 days. Instagram takes the content down. That's why we're not even streaming there. And LinkedIn, it's very hard because there's so much content, it gets pushed down and it's hard to find it. So please go over to YouTube. I just want to leave you with this. I do have a new book coming out tomorrow. It's called My Tummy Hurts, A Kid's Guide to Bellyaches and Bathroom Troubles. As I mentioned many times, I have ulcerative colitis for 35 years, and I want to help children and their families understand that you're not alone. And if your child has a bellyache, it's okay. Help them to be able to talk about it, to not be ashamed, and to get help from the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. So we're going to close out with a trailer for my new book. And then I have a second book that came out a couple weeks ago. It's from The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella and Lord Jack, The Kindness Adventures, and Lady Ella and Lord Jack. It's a children's series. They are actually in Greece, in Salonita, and they are with the alley cats and helping them learn how to communicate. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Dr. Jacalyn saying goodbye for now. My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, A Kid's Guide to Bellyaches and Bathroom Troubles by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
In a quiet seaside town in Greece, where sunlight warms the stone paths and the sea whispers nearby, a new adventure begins. Lady Ella and her brother Lord Jack have arrived with an important mission: to teach kindness, patience, and the power of listening. In a hidden alley, a group of forgotten cats feel unseen and unheard, lost in silence and growing misunderstandings, until someone finally takes the time to truly listen. Because when we listen from the heart, loneliness softens, kindness grows, and new friendships begin. This is Book 10 of The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor book series. Find all Dr. KERBECK's books on Amazon and in fine bookstores worldwide.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.